we on? Can everybody hear us?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We were getting a little worried at 1:15 when there was only 2 people here, but we're just going to do a quick overview of how this will run tonight. I think the most important message here is that we expect everyone to remain respectful of each other and of people's positions in town. We're here to hear what's on your mind and let the selectmen respond to it in a respectful manner and in the way that you yourself would want to be treated if you were being put on the spot as well. Just as a reminder, the session will be both audio and videotaped for further replay on the Alton community page. Everyone is encouraged to step up to the microphone here to ask a question. If you're uncomfortable asking a question, you can submit it. We've had quite a few submitted. And I will read the question to the selectmen. We'll start the evening with each selectman having 3 minutes to introduce themselves and to tell us about themselves and why they're running for selectman and why they think that they deserve your vote. Questions submitted in advance will be read by myself, and each candidate will have the opportunity to answer them. Your initial response will be limited to 2 minutes. The original person asking the question, which we won't know from these cards, does have the opportunity to ask one follow-up question, which each of the candidates will be allowed to respond to. And then after that, we will open it up to the floor for additional questions. We have no time limit planned for this evening, and so we're here for the duration. We will not shut this down until everyone has had an opportunity to answer or ask all of their questions and hear all of the answers thoroughly. At the end, each candidate will have up to 5 minutes to summarize their points that they made tonight, as well as explain why they are well suited for the position and to clarify anything that they feel may have been misinterpreted or things that they would like to expand upon during tonight's session. And they'll address any remaining topics that may be on their mind that perhaps were not brought up by you folks here tonight. So I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a very small flag, but I think it's important that we honor that. Oh, thank you so much. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. So I guess we'll start from right to left. Mr. Shea, if you could introduce yourself and in 3 minutes tell us why you're rerunning for selectman and why you would like the people in Alton to vote for you.
So you're going to start with me. I knew I shouldn't have sat on the end. All right. So, my name is Richard Shea. My friends all call me Dick. My enemies we won't get into. I've been a resident of Alton now for almost 7 years. Prior to that, I lived most of my life in Connecticut, Utah, and North Carolina. I started out my working career in the retail lumber business. I learned a lot there and then moved on to aerospace manufacturing, where I spent the majority of my time. I was lucky to be put in with a relatively small company that was growing very quickly, and that resulted in me having an opportunity to get involved in a number of different areas, everything from engineering management to production control. I built buildings. I was the corporate environmental officer. I was a safety officer. Ran our purchasing department, managed our insurance. Got a chance to do a little bit of everything, which at the time I thought was a bit overwhelming. But since then, I realized that opportunity for a variety of backgrounds and exposures has been invaluable in further endeavors. I worked for that same company for 28 years, spent some time with them in Utah, Then tried my hand at real estate. Believe me, I can't sell houses. I found that out very quickly. But then I had an opportunity to go to work for Allied Signal in North Carolina. They subsequently became Honeywell. I spent on the order of 10 years with them. And at that time, most of that time was in managing their electromechanical interface devices sector, where we produced more of those than anyone else in the world. It was a whole new world for me, and I found it very challenging. Super bunch of people to work with. I moved on from there back to Connecticut with my wife Carol, and went to work for a small company that did overhaul and repair of commercial and military aircraft engine parts. And that company was run by the guy who gave me my first job many, many years sooner. And that was kind of a nice reunion, and it was a great experience. And they allowed me to gradually retire, so I didn't go from everything to nothing overnight. That also was very helpful. I've been retired now for several years, but somehow you still manage to fill up the dance card with things to do. My motivation as far as being a selectman, I like to be involved in things. I like to serve the community. The time that I spent in office in a small town in Connecticut, one of the things I found that was appalling is we couldn't get people to step forward and do anything. So I thought I need to, since I found that so distressing, I shouldn't be one of those that did not step forward, so I did.
Mr. Shea?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, we've completed the 3 minutes,
Okay.
but you'll have an opportunity to go back to this.
Okay. See,
At
when
the
you're
end of the
83 years
evening.
old, you can go on forever. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Okay, next, Brock.
Good evening. My name's Brock Mitchell. I've had most of my history's been in public works. I'm a director of public works for the town of Wakefield. I've been in the business for about 23 years. Most of my background is more practical than it is theoretical. My work, I've dealt with bridges washing out, roads washing away, default budgets, road maintenance, sewer repairs, pretty much anything that has to do with public works. I've also sat here as a selectman in past years. Some of that, there was some lessons that needed to be learned, and I can tell you, anybody that sits here and says they didn't learn any lessons from sitting up here, that's that's a hard pill. As far as me coming up here, I'd like to see a little more transparency, some things being held accountable. I'd like to see it keep moving in a direction, but I really like Alton the way it is. It doesn't, I mean, I realize that we need to grow a little bit, but I don't think we need to grow all at once. That being said, if we continue to move the way we are, Alton's going to be changed fast and moving in a direction that I don't think is good for the townspeople. I like to see our taxes stay lower, but with reasonable. I mean, obviously, we need our services to stay moving forward as well. We need to keep our employees happy and healthy and moving in the right direction. And other than that, like I said, I really think we should just continue to try to keep Alton.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm Jack Sleeper. I'm pretty much a lifelong resident of Alton. My parents were the first house on the road we live on in South Alton, and just kind of stuck here ever since. I moved out west for a short term where I expanded or explored a relationship with my now wife. Spent about 2 years in California and came back here because we both loved it here. Raising my family here, I've got deep ties to the community dating way back. The Sleeper family's been here since the late 1700s, early 1800s, and I just want to serve my community, be a conduit for the townspeople to convey to me through the meetings what they want to see in town. I want Alton to have responsible growth while understanding that we all like the town the way it is generally. I don't think we need to start to provide services like Rochester, but we need the services that we have to meet the needs of the people and not bankrupt them in the process. You know, I just believe strongly in this town as it is, and I want to put my heart into being there for the people and keeping Alton. That's all
Okay,
good.
thank you.
All right, my name is Nick Buonopane. Currently on the select board. I'm the chairman, have been on it for 3 years. You know, I did this because I'm very much for the employees of the town and obviously the taxpayers themselves. I enjoy what I do, although trying at times. I know there's a couple in the audience. Hey, Lori. There's a few in the audience that, you know, we have spirited debates with, and it's great. It's good to see the outpouring of support from people. It's nice to see all of you here tonight. This is more people than we typically have at any given selectman meeting. It's good to see. No matter which way you vote, for any one of us, as long as you're out voting, that's really all that matters. You know, seeing the community pushing forward. And again, these gentlemen said it before I did. You know, you want to see town growth, but you want to see it at a manageable amount. You know, nobody wants to see higher taxes. You try to keep it as even keel as you can. And, you know, like Brock had said, 2 years in default is really difficult, trying to navigate through it. But, you know, we're doing the best we can with what we have. Hopefully pushing forward, we'll see what the vote brings. Again, I'd like to see, you know, we're doing really good with employee retention thus far. I'd hate to lose any more. It's difficult to fill the voids. Again, a little background about me. I've been here about 20 years. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in the community. I'm a mechanic in town. Most of you have seen me over at Wayne's. It's just something that I really enjoy doing, and I feel like I can give back as much as I can to the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a question from the audience? Sure, if you could come up and use the microphone, please.
You want me to say my name, or is that not necessary?
It's not necessary.
Okay, I'm happy to. I'm not going to hide it. Hello, and thank you very much for putting yourself out there in front of us. I'm quite curious to know, at a very high level, nothing detailed, but do you have any specific opportunities? I'm trying to be very careful how I word this. Any specific opportunities that you think would be good for discussion to improve one thing or another? And it might be a certain department in town, it might be a certain road in town. I'm just looking for any specific initiatives that, in your knowledge of Alton, should be addressed. And we're not talking about going backwards, we're talking about just going forward. As you've thought about running for office, you probably have things in your head that you thought, we gotta do that. Or at least talk about it, because of course it's a group decision. Okay, thank you.
Sure, Brock?
I can tell you that one of the big concerns that I have right now is that dam that sits down next to down to the river. I've been following it pretty regularly with the meetings and whatnot, and I can tell you that in 20 years down the road, I really don't want to see the Mary Meeting Marsh turned into a Walmart. I think there's a lot of downfall to that dam not being revised. Even if they have to do something to keep the water levels up, I don't think dropping the water level out there, I think it's bad for the town in general. I just think it might not be today or tomorrow, but 20 years down the road, that's going to be a problem, getting rid of that dam.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else like to respond? Go ahead.
I find that the process that we seem to be going through in the town, which is very beneficial, is looking at and upgrading a number of policies that we have. We have some reorganization going on in our fire department that I think is going to provide us all with better coverage without exhausting the employees with incredible amounts of overtime. We're in the process of reworking our ambulance billing to address a long-term issue with sending collection agencies to address issues with our residents, which nobody was happy with, and I think we'll now be able to say goodbye to it. I think our Public Works Department has done a lot of upgrading in terms of policies at the landfill, incorporating the swap shop and putting our roads in as good shape and probably better than they've been in a long time without requiring a lot of additional funds. Those are the kind of activities on the down in the swamp level that I think benefit all of us, and everybody can relate to them. Thank you.
I think, in response to it, I think going into this year, obviously Brock touched on it, the dam is going to be a massive, endeavor that we have to go through to make sure. I mean, anything could be in that pond that's going to trickle downstream, could cause a lot of problems later on. The other aspect to it is obviously the DPW department does a great job. The equipment is, up to date, it's pretty current. The fire department, like Mr. Shea had touched on, looking at some improvements for them. Down the road, hopefully, a different building in that area to hopefully suit them a little better. Big projects to the future like that.
Okay, Jack?
To kind of echo a little bit, I fully agree with the dam. I've grown up playing in those areas. Granted, the island used to be somewhere else when I used to go out to it in the winter. But I think it's going to be a horrific change to see that drop. I'm a little anxious about even talking to that point because I feel as though we're very limited in what we can do about it because the fishing game owns the dam. So pursuing whatever we can to try to work with them to keep it, I think would be the best step forward. But through talking to the fishing game representative that I did, they own the dam. They also need to do repairs at the Buonopane Dam, and they have a limited budget. So the reason that they've earmarked it for removal is because they can get grant funds to cover the removal, so they don't have to use any of their budget, which they can apply fully to repairing the dam, the Buonopane River. In terms of one thing I'd like to see change in town and try to work on that policy, I know it came up a lot recently in community forums, but the way that currently duplex homes are now looked at as multifamily homes, which kind of gets them through leap step through the approvals process instead of having to go through what a normal multifamily home would. I'd like to see that amended so that it does have to go through that process.
Okay, do you have a follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right, excellent. I'm gonna read one that was
She had
submitted.
she had her own.
I'm sorry.
So you had mentioned wanting to make the change of the ordinance for the duplexes. That's more of a planning board decision than a selectman's decision, correct?
Yes,
And you guys have no authority over the planning board.
but so one of the selectmen typically participates in one of those boards, and as a select board member, I would hope to participate for those reasons, even if it's just to provide insight.
Correct, but I want to make the public aware that the selectmen cannot overrule
Yes.
a planning
Oh,
board
yes.
decision. Okay,
Yep.
so that they're aware of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, I live on Letter S Road. When they let the water out, as soon as the ice melts, my house will look like it's perched on a hill. I'm fine with that. And I'll tell you why. If Mary Meeting Dam goes, my house is affected. 80 different structures are affected. That is a earthen dam. It has sluice things that can move and rip down through. I've been to all the meetings about the dam. I'm not happy. I love our little pond there, Wentworth Pond. But for safety's sake, for at least even the town of New Durham and all that, we have to do something. And I don't think you guys can do a lot about it. I think it's a state decision. One thing that will affect it a lot is money. That may not be available for 20 years. They're putting in for it, doesn't mean we're gonna get it, or they're gonna get it in order to take the dam out completely. They will,
Excuse me,
they
ma'am?
will
Do
lower
you-
the water level.
Do you have an actual question for the selectman?
Oh, was I supposed, I thought you could make a statement.
No, this is a question and answer
Okay.
session for them, because that is really a
I'm sorry.
planning board issue. No, that's fine. I just was
No,
wondering
it's
if you were
just-
getting to
I
a,
was going, well,
question.
my question is, do you really think you have a lot of influence on what the state decides is a dam at, in danger?
My sense, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jack.
I was just gonna say, my sense of it is that we don't. It's gonna be handled at the state level, and that it appears at this point there's limited recourse that we would have.
I agree with that. I wish we had more leverage. We are in the process of communicating back to the state agency that's involved that we want to participate in the decision to the extent possible. But I also would urge those who are concerned about it, and that includes me, to contact your local state representative, because they can raise a stink. And if they think that the voting public is concerned, they will step forward. They don't have overall control of everything that goes on, but they certainly can kick up a fuss, and those that I know that represent us will do that for you. Let them know.
Yeah, I don't think we have much of a leg to stand on, but at least we'll have a voice there to try to put our 2 cents worth into it if we have somebody there to stand up for it or against it, either way.
okay, thank you. I'm gonna read one that was submitted earlier. It's not addressed to any particular selectman, so I guess we'll start with Nick. We'll go the opposite direction this time. What steps will you take to lessen the conflict of interest at the town hall?
What steps will I take to lessen the conflict of interest in town hall?
Mm-hmm.
As of right now, as far as a conflict of interest goes, I'm not entirely sure that there necessarily is one. The property in question is separate from him being a town administrator. It is two very separate things. It's been looked at by us, and it's what Mr. Sleeper said. It's duplexes. It's duplexes. So I mean, as far as the planning board and select board goes, we can't oversee something like that and put a stop to it. As far as the rest of the conflict of interest goes, if somebody has hard proof and they're willing to bring it to me and look at it in front of me, then that I would be pleased to look at it. I'd be pleased to read it, whatever the townspeople have. I'd be more than happy to look at it. But as far as I'm concerned, and Mr. Shea is a current selectman, and Mr. Mitchell is a prior selectman, and they'll tell you the exact same thing.
Okay, thank you. Jack?
And likewise, from the outside looking in, I don't know. I've seen the town's outrage about stuff and pointing fingers at things, but without being able to participate to know the extent of any of it, there's nothing to act on. So sometimes from the outside looking in, it can seem one way because all you're getting is snippets of details and hearsay through other people, and without being able to get to the root to understand everything that's gone into this process, it's a very tough question to answer because I don't really know what, if anything, is there to be done about. Even if on the surface and through many complaints of people it seems like that's a thing, you don't have the whole picture, so you can't act on it.
Yeah, I would agree with Jack on that. I don't think, and I have been a selectman, I sat there, I guess the issue that Nick just brought up is something that's coming to fruition in the last years or so, but I don't, with myself and Jack, we don't have the information to even make a decision on that up front. That would be something that you would have to sit in and hear all the sides of the story to make a actual educated decision on it. It's not something you just take from off the cuff to try to make a decision on sitting here in front of a group of people that you don't have any information on. So I would pass that over to Mr. Shea, I guess. You can.
I agree generally with what's been said here. Anytime you have a small town and you need people to be on boards and commissions, you can always point your fingers at somebody and say, well, he's on the planning board because he's in real estate, so he's making a fortune on this somehow. I don't really see any indication of that in Alton. We had cities in Connecticut where that certainly was the case, but not a small town in New Hampshire. I see one of the unfortunate things about the modern internet communication systems is that anybody can post anything and it goes across like wildfire. People pick it up. It's easy to make it sound like it's believable, and if you don't have any facts to refute it, it seems to be believable. But I can tell you, and probably due to all of that ruckus on the internet, those of us on the board are extra careful and extra alert and if we see any signs of anyone actually benefiting from their position or their influence, we would certainly initiate action. But to this point, I haven't seen any, and I hope I don't.
Thank you. Does anyone have any follow-up questions?
Come on, guys, let's get lively. Come on, bring up the question.
Okay, do we have anybody who'd like to step up and ask a question?
Since far back. No, I'm reading the 10-year plan. I saw an expression of concern about the possibility of contamination of the bay. And I'm just wondering, is that something that concerns the board? Is there anything being done to look at the potential problem?
Mr. Shea?
Yeah, one of the things that we do, and it really kind of amazed me because there's a state girl that does this in a kayak, but she actually goes out and looks at all of the waters, not only in our lake, but most of the lakes in New Hampshire. And one of the things that she reports on is milfoil, which is kind of a nasty invasive species. And we spend a good deal of money and the state matches it in order to address the milfoil problem. Some years it's less much of a problem, some years it's more, but it's always present. And I think the same is being done for some other species. The bay in particular and the lake in general is subject to a great deal of investigation and inspection. You can't say there's no problems, because there certainly are, but those problems seem to be detected quickly and seem to be addressed reasonably well. And individuals can certainly contribute by making sure that their boats are clean before they launch, and that they don't dump 5,000 pounds of fertilizer in their front yard. There are all kinds of measures that can be taken, and there are lake associations that support that and lead the charge on that. And it's certainly a concern, but I think we got our arms around it.
If my memory is right, it was a sewage problem that was mentioned in the plan. I mean, is that being looked at?
Can I address that?
I'd like to let the selectmen, please.
Well, you could run and then you'd be up here next year.
Right.
No.
You could take it offline with this gentleman. However, I'd like to hear from the selectmen.
I think the sewage problem is primarily driven by old septic systems. There are a lot of old cottages and camps where the idea of a good system was a 55-gallon drum full of rocks. But anything that's proposed now, almost the first requirement is a state-approved and professionally engineered septic system. And as those old systems get phased out or fail, I think that problem is going to be less severe, but it'll never go away. It's always worth a look.
The lake's something that needs to be protected. A very large portion of our tax base is on that lake as well, but and you folks as well too. That's something that needs to be protected, and I think Mr. Shea hit the nail right on the head. Old septic systems are a big part of what we have, and I think it's something that in the past has been looked at and is being rectified. I mean, it might not be at a landslide pace, but I believe that it is trying to be rectified as years are going on and people are becoming more receptive to it, because other people want to protect the lake as well. So I think it is, at least there's I think there's a plan at least to try and get it under control.
And I believe we also have a conservation board that helps to work on things like that works, through the town hall. And one of the other major concerns, I think, is when you're talking about runoff from everyone wants their bright green lawn on the lake, need to create some better avenues to limit that, because that runoff turns into plumes, which turns into bacteria, and then now we have water we can't swim in.
They all said it. They said it
Okay.
great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any follow-up question to that? Okay, seeing none, I'll read another from what was submitted. Do you commit to making direct contact information available to the public for you and all the select board members?
I'll answer that one. I would
Okay.
like to think that we are as open as we possibly can be. The majority of people know, where there's a couple of us on the board. They know where we work and cell phone numbers and things like that, emails. The town email for the select board, we do have to kind of look at streamlining that a little different so that it goes out to each individual selectman. It's dicey because it's I believe it's a 91. What's that? 91 something.
91A.
There we go. 91A violation for us to have access to town emails. But I would like to see at some point, cell phones and personal emails, if they need to be posted on the town website, that should be up to the individual. I know that pushing forward, I'd like to see mine on there. So if any townspeople ever have any questions, all they have to do is pick up the phone.
Jack?
That is one thing that I think we should all have access to the public. That's why even on my signs and when I put it on Facebook, I created an email. So I'm open access. You can get to me and I try to get back to people as rapidly as I can. I think that being able to communicate directly to us gives us a better voice for you in the meetings to help better steer the town the way you want it to be.
Yeah, me as well. My phone number is available and you can speak to me anytime you want. I have no issue with that whatsoever. If there's a question, ask. Sometimes you might not like my answer, but I'll be truthful when I give it to you.
Mr. Shea?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see, but it may be illegal, I would like to see a situation where there are individual selectmen emails that go through the town. So you would email Brock Mitchell at Alton or something to that effect. That may be illegal, but if it is, then I think the next best bet is for each of us to set up a public email that's available to everyone that we can monitor and answer. I know right now that attempts to reach the selectmen through the town hall is often a multi-step and perhaps rather aggravating process. And I'm sure, given all the capabilities of modern electronics, that we can improve that. And I think we all will say whoever here gets elected will work on that.
So one of the written questions, I think, is a very good follow-up to what you just said, Mr. Shea. It says, communication to the Board of Selectmen seems to be lacking. Notes and letters go unanswered but the email by way of email, is there a better way to voice a concern or an opinion? Do you want me to reread that? I'm sorry, I had difficulty for a minute.
I think the best avenue pushing forward is, I don't know about the rest of you, but I go to my son for all my IT stuff, so I'm not exactly technologically savvy with email and stuff. Best way to get a hold of me is always call, or people come see me and just tell me, they need something or they want to see something different, and we go from there. Honestly, I think in today's day and age, email is great, but either, we're losing touch with the face-to-face and hands-on, so, pick up the phone and call me, you know what I mean? That's the way that it goes. That's the easiest way to get a hold of any one of us, really. I don't have access, like they had spoke about the town email. We don't all have access to the town email, so I'm sure it's a frustrating process, and we don't want to see that. We don't want to see anybody get frustrated trying to get a hold of us. So I think the best course is gonna end up being mobile phones, I believe.
I don't know if there would be any avenue to create like a selectmen's Facebook page to give better access and allow all the selectmen on the board to have access to it. But really, this town needs participation. Come to the meetings, let your voices be heard so that the selectmen can't not get an email. If you come and talk to us and participate in the town, that's the best way to advocate for the things you want or don't want in town.
Amen. Well said.
And I agree with Jack on that as well, but at the same time, some people's lives are busy and you need another avenue where you can reach out and still be in contact with the selectmen. And like I said, it sounds like any one of us would be more than willing to have anybody call you at a reasonable hour. My phone is made available. Even when I was, you could call anytime, and I'd answer like I said, I'll answer the question for you. That's not an issue.
Can I make a comment on that?
Could we let Mr. Shea, please? Right.
I agree with particularly what Jack said. One of the things that I've always found disappointing is the lack of attendance at our public meetings. We have an opportunity for people to speak on agenda items at the beginning of a meeting, and also to speak on any items at the end of the open meetings. And it's rare that we get more than a couple of people in the audience, sometimes no one at all. I know everybody has got other lives to lead, the Red Sox game is on or whatever, but if you feel strongly about something and you can possibly do it, a personal appearance carries much more weight, I think, with any individual on the board than an email or a letter or a note or a phone call. So please, if you can visit us, do so. We'd love to see you. Unless you got a
Did you
big
have a
complaint
follow-up?
about
If you
something.
could come to the
I
microphone.
think we all agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
What you just said.
Mr. Shea said.
So I appreciate you guys, saying that you want that to be available. I think you have to be careful, because you have to make sure you use blind CCs, because if you have more than a forum reply or reply all, it can constitute as a meeting.
Yep.
So you have to use caution when you're making that offer or making that availability. So.
Thank you.
And
Agreed.
even if it could be more simple as just a Alton selectman at Gmail, that we all have a login and access to the account, that we can all see it, that way it's not a meeting, we're just all getting the emails immediately.
Correct, but as long as you don't hit reply all,
Yep.
that it constitutes a forum.
Yeah, I understand.
So.
Thank you for that.
Okay, do we have a question from the audience? Okay.
I have a question about the town website, which I think can use a lot of improvement. And there are certain things that I think should automatically be on every town website, such as the town regulations. I, a number of years ago, looked up firework regulations for the town, ordinances for the town, and also noise ordinances. Now, I'm capable of using the internet and finding it eventually through other sources, but it seems to me that the town could I would think, simply provide that, have it online where people, and it's indexed, and people could just look it up. And I realize none of you are the IT people, but I would ask that any of you who get elected try to put work into modernizing the website.
I will say that Josh Monaco, he's our IT person, I know we did just have a new website launch, and there's a lot of bugs. We're still working out a lot of bugs. So any input like that, we want to hear feedback for that, because there are updates that need to be done, and user-friendly type stuff that we got to address pushing forward. I do agree with you on that, though. But it is in the works. We're trying to navigate through it. It's a new launch. I think it's only been a couple of weeks that we've had it up.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree. Again, the modern electronics and website capabilities are such that it's just with a couple of clicks you can put a whole scheme up for the public to see and make sure it's indexed. Josh, our IT guy, is a kind of amazing guy. He carries the ball all by himself, and I'm sure anything that we request of him, such as that, he'll be able to make happen. And we're going to look into it because it's certainly a reasonable request.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take another one from what was submitted. This is to all candidates. Do you feel the town hall hours of 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Thursday, are appropriate for our town with so many leaving and returning from work, or outside of those hours, and how would you change it?
We switched to the 4-day week primarily in an attempt to retain employees after a good deal of agonizing. Of course, no matter what you have for hours, it's going to be inconvenient for someone. The feeling generally was if the town hall was open later and open earlier, it might fit in with people's work days. I haven't heard a lot of issues one way or the other, but I also haven't researched it, so I can't sit here and say it's just nifty or it's a disaster. And we certainly could make further changes if they seem to be in order. But right now, I think our staff is comfortable with what they're doing. And I hope that the public is generally comfortable, and I hope that we'll hear from people if they're not.
Anyone else?
I think I'll let Nick take this first since you're on the board. And just
Yeah,
'cause
as
it's-
far as with the current town hall hours we have, it was looked at. We did change it in hopes to, like Mr. Shea had spoke about, retain some employees, and also you kind of be open a little bit later and a little bit earlier in the morning, hoping to catch you before work or on your way home from work. It seemed to be working well so far. We have had some issues here and there. There's been some holidays that fall on Thursdays, and so there's extended, closures due to a couple holidays a year. We're doing our best to try to either bounce people around for that, try to navigate through that, but if the townspeople want change and they want hours changed, just bring it up to our attention and we'll do our best to try to get a schedule that works for everybody that's, everybody involved, I guess would be the best way to put it.
I personally myself, I don't have an issue with it, but I haven't had to go in there on a Friday and do business. So it's generally when I get out of work, it's 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I still have time to get in there and do it. That being said, our job is to do the will of the people. If the people decide that's what they want and they come to us, as far as if I'm elected and they come to us with saying that they'd like us to look into that, that's something that as a board we should look into. And I'm not saying, yeah, we'll do it or we won't do it, but I would definitely, it would be on the cards to look at.
I can only say as a citizen of Alton, I always had a hard time getting there when they used to close earlier. So them being on the current schedule and open till 5:30, it always has allowed me to get there. So I appreciate the current schedule. Unless the townspeople, like Brock just mentioned, were solidly in favor of changing it, I would keep it as is.
Okay, any follow-up questions to that? No? All right, any questions from the audience?
The transfer station, this $20 fee, did any, asking quickly, do you guys all have your transfer sticker? Have you all paid the 20
Yeah,
bucks?
I have, yep.
I'm impressed because they don't look, and every other car that I see there doesn't have one. And they're not gonna enforce it, we all know that, right?
We're-
Employees there, asking an employee that's getting whatever salary to enforce that is kind of a joke. How do you intend to address some of these issues at the transfer station? I think that there's things there that need to be improved greatly.
Such as what?
Could you be more specific?
They added the styrofoam, it's never empty. The bins, the the glass bins and all the bins never get emptied. They're usually full when we get there. There's only one, I don't know why there's only one dumpster open all the time now. We have 2 doors, we have 2 dumpsters. We could increase the flow of people through there so that it gets faster. I'm confused why we only do 1 at a time. The transfer stickers, they're a joke. They don't have any numbers on them. They attach to the outside of the window. They should attach to the inside of the window or else they fade, they break off. I talked to the DPW guy that is in charge of this, and he says there's limitations, but he also tells me that they're gonna do things to make it better. So I'm just confused. I just think that there's opportunities to improve there, and I think that $20 is kind of dumb, especially if we're not gonna enforce it and do the things we gotta do.
So the dump stickers themselves are $20. They did go up. It's $10 per year, so that is for a 2-year sticker. As far as the bins being full, that's the first that I'm hearing about it. It's something that obviously we'll get with Seth and Scott about, and we can look into why that is. I believe the difference with the 2 bins, though, is when one side's full, they're either moving or shuttling stuff out for the other side. I think there's a reason why they can't have both open, but that's something, again, that, you know, is just being brought up to my attention now, so it's something we can obviously look into pushing forward. But as far as the bins go, that's the first I'm hearing about the bins being full all the time.
As far as the 2 dumpsters at the same time, as I had understood it from Scott, when they changed to not having them open, it's because you could end up in a scenario where both are full at the same time. Now they can't take any trash for 20 minutes.
Makes sense.
And that, you never know when that's gonna happen.
Running a transfer station myself, a very, very large one at that. It is, there are some issues up there that if I am elected, I would be more than willing to help out with up that way. As far as the stickers go, I did buy a sticker and it does stick on the outside of the window, not the inside, which kind of makes it a little tricky to stick to have. Is there some things that could be reworked up there? Absolutely. I think that just as the Board of Selectmen, you're gonna have to spend a little time maybe up there looking at things and seeing how things are going, and then try to make a educated direction on how it should be changed. The stickers, I don't have an issue with, really. I don't mind paying $10 a year to take my trash up there. Doesn't bother me a bit. Just in that being said, because I know what it costs to take a load of stuff to turnkey, $10 a year isn't a big deal to me as far as myself. But yeah, I think we could get in there and do some solid changes to things to make it run a little smoother and for everything. As far as being like the glass and that stuff, I think that just falls under you wait till it gets as full as you can, because you really don't have up there. You don't have a lot of space to put stuff, so you have to keep it until it gets full, and then you move it when you can. I think the guys do a good job up there, and besides a few hiccups that you run into, I think it's a pretty good place to go up and bring your trash.
Do you have anything you'd like to add, Mr. Shea?
Yeah, we are very fortunate, I think, because we have a Public Works Director, Seth Garland, who is capable and creative and energetic. And going forward, now that we have the new stickers in place, his plan is to begin to do enforcement. And it doesn't have to be every car, every minute, because as soon as the word gets around that they're actually checking once in a while, people who don't have stickers will either buy them, or people from other towns that have been taking advantage of us won't come around anymore, because they're going to have to go home with the same load they came in with. So in the future, if I'm reelected anyhow, I would look to Seth to make some improvements. I know he's already reworked the operating policies to a great extent, and much to our advantage. And I think we can rely on him working with the guys at the transfer station to improve things.
Thank you.
Quick
I'd like-
follow-up. They need to post their hours when they're closed.
a horrible job at that.
I think it's right on the
Thank
sign
you.
at the entrance to the station.
It's not.
Okay. I'd like to, I'm going to defer to the audience for a moment and ask your permission to ask a follow-up question to that as the moderator. If you say no, I'll respect that, but I do have a question. Is anybody opposed to it?
Go for it.
Thank you. For years, the town has not charged any residents for ambulance services. We only charge our non-residents. It has been considered for the 9 years that I was a selectman and for many years prior to that and in the years since I was a selectman that this was viewed as double taxation. They were already paying the tax dollars to support the ambulance and fire department. Therefore, we were not going to charge our residents to utilize those services. My question for you is, how do we reconcile charging for a dump sticker? Do you not also see that as double taxation for services that we're already paying for?
Honestly, I didn't even think of it that way. I didn't think of it as double taxation. I look at it as more of a goods and services, because there are some people in town that don't use the transfer station, so why would they need to pay for the $20 sticker? I hadn't even considered it like that until now.
Anyone else?
I kind of agree with you, but on the lighter half of that, I also know what it costs to haul that stuff away, and it would be, I believe it would be more of a burden on the taxpayer to pay to, your taxes would have to increase to cover what you would need to fund the transfer station. So by getting some of it back, yeah, you are paying for it. You're right. It is a double. You're right. Like I said, I agree. But I don't know how you would rectify that. That's a slippery slope right there, I think.
Mr. Shea?
You're going to push me to answer that one, huh? Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. I'm sure there are a number of fees that we charge for various town services that all could be regarded as double taxation, and to some degree they are. I think the sticker provision allows us to control a little bit of what's going into the landfill, or I should say into the recycling center, and to avoid usage by people who shouldn't be using it. But of course we can only do that if we start to enforce the stickers, which we need to do now. We haven't done it in the past. If we were to eliminate the fee, we would just disperse the cost of running the landfill across more people at a higher price. And I'm sure if I was someone who was paying for my private hauling service, I would not be happy about that.
So sticking to my own rules, I'll have just one follow-up. I would encourage you all to take a look into the ambulance billing and see exactly how much the town is eating by not charging residents even at a Medicare rate. I think you will find that it is extremely expensive to the town. And I'm not advocating that we charge our residents, I'm just saying that both sides there.
We are
Thank you.
right now, and Nick, I will back me on this, we are in the process of reworking our entire ambulance billing system. Our new fire chief is carrying the ball on that, and it's being aided by a new state law which restricts the amount that can be billed in certain ways and relates it to the Medicare, Medicaid schedule. And I think when we finish with this, the result will be that if you have insurance, the insurance company will pay the town directly. But if you don't, or if your insurance company doesn't reach the entire cost and you're an Alton resident, you will receive no further bill.
If I have Mr. Shea's back on that one, if you watch the town meetings, you'll see that we've had a few discussions with the chief about the ambulance billing pushing forward. Again, looking at it the broad scope, and just trying to, again, navigate through that. Chief is a vital resource to that. Again, he's leading that department, and we're, going to take every suggestion that he has, hopefully under advisement, and rework that billing system so that it is mutually beneficial for the town and persons involved.
Okay, thank you. If you have a follow-up, is it a question or a statement?
It's kind of a statement.
You need, please come to the microphone because this is being recorded for others.
Okay, some of you know that along with Mr. Shea, I helped get the swap shop going. I called probably 20 different transfer stations to see what they charged, why they charged it, and all that. Everybody charged far more than we did. I found one that was free, okay? But that was one compared to as much as $50 a year down to our 50 cents a year, which I thought was ridiculous. Anyway, that money, if it is enforced, then that's the key. Because when we were at the swap shop, you go to somebody, where's your sticker? If you knew that they were taking advantage of it, oh, it's on my other car, oh, I forgot it. Anyway. So if it's enforced, I think it will help pay for what is, how expensive it has become to get rid of things. So, okay, and I'm sorry about the double taxation, but the whole state does it, and I'm sure the whole country does it.
Can I add one
Thank you.
thing to that, Cindy?
Yes, absolutely.
My view of the stickers is also that, yes, it is a little bit in that vein of double taxation, but at least it's limited to people who use it instead of everyone. So if you don't use the dump, you don't pay the sticker, it doesn't matter to you. The taxes are gonna be there to keep the DPW services running either way. So there is a little bit of double dipping, but it's kind of unavoidable in my opinion. What I would like to see, and I don't know what sort of warrant article this would have to push forward for the town to vote on, but like when you go to the Barnstead dump, you go through a check-in before you go over the scale. That's where they check to make sure you have your sticker, so you don't get access to the dump until they verify you have a sticker. And I know our dump isn't configured like that, so it would take money to get it there, but that could be something down the road to look at as they make changes at the dump to see if the town would vote a warrant article for that change.
Thank you.
Gotta do this for the Shoreys. So first of all, thank you all for stepping up to serve. Serving is never easy, and it is a labor of love, and is often a very thankless job. So I want to thank you in advance for your willingness to serve. Beyond economy, so you talked about doing the will of the people. According to the community profile and the master plan, so there was a great call for building community. And I would love to hear what you have in mind for ways to build community. So in the town of Alton, what are the ways that we can connect citizens to one another, to like the work that Parks and Rec is doing, Friends of Parks and Rec, and so on and so forth. What other ways do you see that we can work on building a strong, vibrant community that's not just based on economy?
I think we need to support our Parks and Recs, our small like sports fields and the clubs that do that, and I think that brings a lot of the people together. But if these people don't have the support to put this stuff together, then they can't really function on that stuff. So if by supporting our town's clubs and our Parks and Rec departments and getting things moving forward with programs, I think that will be good for the future of Alton as far as the community.
So as far as that's concerned, the last year we had Alton Old Home Week that was shortened to Old Home Weekend. The main reason for that, for cutting it down like that, was the committee had 2 members show up for participation. So the support isn't there. With more support from the townspeople, and by support I mean showing up to the meetings and being engaged. We had to shorten it. We can't run a full week-long event like that off of 2 people and a couple volunteers. So again, more more backing from the community that we have. You know, everybody loved Old Home Week. You know what I mean? It was great. It was a week-long celebration for the town of Alton. Shortening it to a weekend was not what anybody wanted to do. It's not something that we took lightly, making the decision to do it. But it was necessary, given that there was no volunteers to help out whatsoever. So I guess I don't know how to correctly answer the question, Andrea, but it would be relying more on the community to help support, you know, the Old Home Week Committee, Friends of Parks and Recs, you know, the ABA, just more townspeople involvement, I guess, would be the best answer for that.
And you know, growing up here, one of my favorite ways that we all used to interact more was there used to be a lot more community engagement through things like the volunteer fire department used to put on a lot more cookouts. People would go and participate. It was a great fundraiser for them. They paid for a lot of the upgrades they wanted through their own fundraising when it was a volunteer agency. And now that we've turned that into more salary, it feels like they don't contribute as much to the community in that way. I'd like to see more of that and advocate for that. The Old Home Day or Old Home Weekend shortened, that was partially due to the budget shrinking as well, right? Because it didn't get voted through, there was no fireworks.
Yep, I had to shut down the fireworks.
The opening that they do at the railway park, that didn't happen. That was something that everyone in the community loved. We went every year, we'd see everybody there, but it's just getting the people to participate in those things to help pull them off, number one, fund them, number two, and go so that the town knows you want to be there. My entire family has always gone. There used to be penny sales in Alton Bay. You know, we had such a great time just being down there with everybody, and it was everyone from town.
Even the townwide yard sale was bigger.
Yep.
It was bigger then. Sorry, Roger.
Anyone else?
I think there's a question.
Right here.
Yes, could you please?
Okay, so on the trash stickers subject, what I found is that putting that sticker on the window, right? Not even a week later, it would fly off, right? Somebody was speaking about that. So for people to enforce that, we'd have to find a better sticker quality by reaching out and say, hey, what can we do about the quality of the stickers you guys are giving to the town, right? Is whoever makes them. So I think that will help the enforcement, because in my perspective, I don't want to put it on my window because I know it's going to fly off. So where do I keep it? I keep it in my console. If they ever ask, it's right on hand. But to put it to the window, I would rather not. You know, I'm a conservative, so I'd rather not have to spend more money or waste more paper, right? That's all. I figured that we should reach out about that. I think it's a good idea.
I did have, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I did have one helpful person at the Way Center suggest pulling down your visor and sticking it to the back of your visor, so that when you come through the dump, you flip that down, they can see the sticker, but it's inside the car, it's not gonna fall off, it's not gonna get lost, and it doesn't get something.
So there's no rule in place that you have to have it on the outside of the window?
No, I think there is.
That was direct from someone at the Solid Waste Center, so I would say no.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, I've only got 3 more that were submitted, so I'm going to do another. A number of employees have been without raises for a couple of years now due to the default budget. How will you address this, and what do you suggest the town leaders do to retain employees who are not being paid what our neighboring towns are paying?
Well, other than take up a personal collection, which you guys probably aren't in favor of, the only thing that we can really do, and we need to do a better job of educating the voters perhaps, but we really need to get this budget passed. 2 years of default budgets have left us well behind the 8 ball. A third year, I think, would be close to disastrous for the town. You're right, the employees have not received a raise in 2 years, and we have one planned in our current budget. It's a reasonable amount. They certainly deserve it, and I hope that everyone in this room and anyone you can talk to come out and support our budget, because Otherwise, we definitely will lose some good people and have some good people that even if they don't leave, will feel somewhat unappreciated and a bit demoralized, and that never helps. So get our budget passed and the problem will solve itself.
Anyone else?
I don't know if this is something that could be done or not, but I do see that the employees not getting raises is a problem. So I don't know if there's a way that the employee salaries can be separated from the actual, I mean, not separated from the operating, but be able to vote just on the employee salaries in the operating budget and different. I'm not sure if that can be done, but trying to think outside the box on ways that we can still keep our employees, but I think the employees, we need to keep them. We have good employees here in town, and I think we need to keep the ones that we have. So trying to figure out a way to make it better would be good.
My response was gonna be alongside Brock's. I was just gonna, and not knowing the two sitting selectmen may be able to answer this better, is if for that budget, we can better break out, rather than have, here's your 10% increase budget, can we get more of a line item vote on those to approve raises or personnel for the fire department? Like, are there certain things we can pick and choose so that we don't go back to a total default budget, and the townspeople that feel strongly about A, B, C thing can vote for that to push it forward?
I do believe that that's what Brock spoke about is something we are looking into. If something does happen with the budget this year, I will say that Seth Garland, Courtney Mitchell, James Reinhardt, Todd McDougall, all the department heads really came through for budgets. I mean, these budgets are as slim as they can be. They're not outrageous. Nobody's asking for crazy new equipment. We're just trying to keep it on an even keel. And obviously the employee raises are a bulk of what you're seeing in the new budget that was brought forth for you guys to review. Again, in hopes that it passes so that the employees do get their raises, but that this budget this year was really hard to do, and the department heads really came in great, and all of the employees and department heads all have a well-deserved raise that I hope, with the support of the town, that, it passes.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Kind of a follow-up question. I've heard that there have been no raises for 2 years and possibly we would go into default for third year. I've also heard there's been a 2% increase that has come as some part of understood of an existing contract. So could you clarify, have the town employees received 0 increase or 2% for the last 2 years?
I'll leave that for the sitting selectmen. I don't know.
Yeah.
Answer
No,
that.
go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Shea.
Oh, you think I know, huh?
I know.
I'm not aware of anything like that. We don't have union contracts at the town level that would dictate an arrangement like that. I will certainly inquire. We have a very capable finance manager, Laura, who I'm sure knows the answer. I would like to sit here and flat out say no, but I can't do that at 100%. I hope the answer is yes, because at least they've gotten 2%, but I don't think that's happened. We will find out.
As far to the best of my knowledge, there has been no raises whatsoever for the town employees. Is the 2% that Jill spoke about? I'm not sure where the 2% was, but there have been no raises for the town employees for the 2 years.
I'm just wondering if do the employees receive a COLA from, I don't know how it works. So maybe that's what she was speaking of. I don't know if she was asking about COLA, a cost of living increase through, I don't
No
know
increase.
how it works, but maybe that's what she was asking about.
Yeah, there were.
I don't believe COLAs are involved in a default budget. I don't, unless
No.
they were there in the budget before that. I don't know how
Thank
that
you.
would be.
Contracts would be. though.
Contracts would be, but
Are there any
COLA wouldn't be.
contracted employees that have received a raise during the default budget?
Right.
No, I don't believe any contract, any employee at all has received a raise through the 2 years.
Okay. Absolutely.
Hi again. So another thing that came out of the strategic plan and the community profile was looking to communicate, and you guys already talked about the new web design that's coming, which I just peeked for a little bit ago, which it's looking great and whatnot. And also you talked about people having access to you to talk about their issues or whatnot. I guess one of the things that I would like to see, you mentioned a Facebook page, is what are the things that you could do to communicate what's being done on the select board better, in towards telling people, you know, here we have this committee going on, here is this activity, here's ways to get connected, get involved. Back to the pamphlet that came out from the town about the voter issues and all the warrant articles, amongst some very educated people, when they were looking at the town budget and it said tax impact $4.78, they thought that that number was going to be additional to what they are currently paying, so adding almost $5 under the current tax rate. They didn't understand that they were currently already paying for 13 million of that, so really the tax impact increase is 90 cents. So I guess the question here is, what do you feel the board / town could do better to communicate with its citizens?
We definitely made an error on that because it should have been written that way. And I can understand the misconception with that. It starts at your baseline 0. That was we put it together in hopes that obviously there's always something. There's always something. So we did the best we could to put it forward as quickly as we could for you guys. No, go ahead.
I guess maybe this is not so much a question, but a recommendation that something comes out in the next 8 days that explains exactly that to the citizens if you want your budget to pass.
I don't know if that's feasible, but we'll try.
Okay, I'm going to read. Have
Jen
two
Collins,
left.
you got that one? Yeah. That's not what I want to hear. That's not what I want to hear.
That'll give a lot of people relief, I think, knowing that, because it seems like a huge amount. Because I know certain people in town that they're looking at a $6,000 increase to their properties. It's not actually that, so it would be really good for them to know that.
Okay, this question is, have you viewed the town administrator's contract and what are your thoughts?
The town administrator's contract is all above board and it was passed by the select board many years ago. As far as, you know, you guys can read it, it is just cause. You know, the only way he gets let go is by just cause for a full vote of the select board. And again, for the second time tonight, there is no reason why Ryan Heath, the town administrator, has any reason to be let go. I don't believe there was a conflict of interest. And again, if somebody brings me proof in front of me that says this is a direct conflict of interest, obviously we will look at that.
I have not seen it. I can't speak to it.
I have seen it, but I also don't believe that this is the forum to be talking about employee problems. I think that falls under where the town administrator is an employee and not an elected official. I don't think we can sit here and have that discussion in open public.
Mr. Shea, anything to add?
Yeah, we are all certainly very aware of the potential for a conflict of interest with any town employee, and we are alert to the possibility, and I have seen no evidence of it. I've heard a lot of hearsay, but hearsay really doesn't stand up. You need facts.
It's funny you do say, you know, you bring that up. I just want to touch on this very briefly for everybody, both who are going to view this and for you in the public. I would like everybody to, before they sit down and write a statement on social media, granted, you have every right to say and do whatever you want. Nobody takes that away from you. But I would like you to remember one thing. I have kids. These gentlemen up here have kids. Ryan has kids. These people see this, what you write, the names you call us and the things you say to us in public. Everybody sees this. I just want to make sure that everybody's fully aware that when you write something down or you post something on the internet, it's there forever for everybody to read. My parents, their parents, everybody.
And accusations can draw a lot more fire than exonerations. So someone can say something and it heats up the entire town, but the exoneration never carries that same weight.
Never.
Okay, any other cons?
I just have a clarifying question so I understand, and it's not about any individual, it's about business practices. And do I understand correctly that, I can say the town administrator's position has an open-ended contract? There's no 5-year period and then
No.
it's reviewed?
No terms, no.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Do we have someone from the audience that would like to ask a question? Sure.
So back in 2024, we the town people, I guess, voted down the ladder truck for the fire department. As I drive around, I see all these. I don't see single stationary houses being built. I'm seeing 2-story houses being built all over Alton. There's a lot of new houses going up. What are your thoughts about the ladder truck, about having a ladder truck for safety-wise here in Alton? And I'd like for each one of you guys to answer that question.
I'll even go first on that because I had questions from it at deliberative session, and my problem with the ladder truck wasn't the ladder truck. My problem with the ladder truck is you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. Because if you go spend $2 million on a ladder truck and then don't have a building big enough to put it in, it kind of makes an issue. And to have a $2 million ladder truck sitting outside because it won't fit in a building isn't something I think we need. I think there's other steps to that before we get to that. Do I think the town deserves to have a ladder truck and the guys down there deserve to have that stuff and all the proper equipment and stuff? Absolutely. But I think us as a town need to do a couple other steps before we go putting that kind of an investment into something that's just going to sit outside in the snow.
I agree with Mr. Mitchell quite a bit. The ladder truck is a necessary item, obviously. And I had spoke earlier about, looking forward at what the town, where are we going to be in 10 years? Where are we going to be in 15 years? Ideally, the fire department wants to stay where they are on that plot of land. So our hopes are to either re-engineer, have engineers look at that building to try to change the way that it's configured. Right now, with the ladder truck purchase, one of the reasons, and I believe you might be able to speak to some of that, one of the reasons why the ladder truck is so expensive is because we're trying to put it in a confined space. It needs, believe it or not, kind of sometimes the bigger those are, the more medium price they are because you're not building a custom built truck. So if we were to go ahead and purchase a truck, custom built like this, there may be an option to get something else on that truck that they would have wanted later on when the building is going to be able to take the size of the truck that they actually need. So to answer your question, do we all believe the town needs a ladder truck? I can't speak for all of them, but yes, obviously we do. To put it in right now, if the townspeople want it, that's why it was put out to warrant. If the townspeople want it, then we get it. If the townspeople voted it down, we'd like to see a bigger area for it to go in, a better suited truck for the town, if that makes any sense.
Anyone else want to respond to that?
There are a couple of issues with the ladder truck. The housing certainly is one, although I think that's addressable with a modification to the building. Also, there's a concern that the larger ladder trucks, which are desirable in most cases, may not be able to get into a lot of the small streets and driveways that we have in Alton. You'd be stuck out on the street where your ladder just wasn't long enough to do anything. Our current chief has been searching for what we hope to find in a late model used truck, which would be considerably less expensive and also available more quickly. To date, he has not come up with anything, but he hasn't given up, and we hope that he's successful. If we were to buy a new one, the delivery time on them is like 1.5 to 2 years, and the cost continues to seem to jump at $100,000 to $200,000 a year. it's a kind of a no-win situation. My hope is that we find a used one that'll do the job. Beyond that, I think we'll need to let the voters decide in a warrant article, because it's a major expenditure.
Well, I'm sorry, Jack, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, my feelings on it were, and I'll backtrack a little bit to say, our neighboring town, Barnstead's tax rate had climbed a lot for many years because a lot of the things they did just kind of would kick the can down the road. They didn't want to vote for anything that raised their taxes, so they didn't do things. We've had this truck end up on the ballot, I think 3 times now, and it's now more than double what it originally went on the ballot for. So if we would have bought it the first time, we still, between now and then, would have saved enough to upgrade the fire department to make it fit. There is also, part of the thing with this truck is, it's supposed to be more nimble than your average large truck, so we will be able to get to more of those properties, which is why they wanted to do the upgrade. So I think, just as a message to the voters of Alton, is sometimes we have to look at these things and know, like, none of us want our tax bills to go up, least of all me. My raise is often eclipsed by the raises in healthcare insurance and the tax rate going up, and the money doesn't go as far. But also, the longer we wait to do the things that need to be done, the bigger cost it has to us in the long run. Sometimes it's hard, but you gotta bite the bullet and do what needs to be done.
Anyone else? Yes.
I have a really petty beef with something in Alton that maybe is outside of your responsibilities totally, but that speed limit sign, when you come off the circle and you go up Main Street, I can't, gunning my motor, I can't get up to the speed limit in that space of time. It seems like you have like 20 feet and you already have a speed limit sign. Why isn't it put somewhere where you might actually catch a speeder? Or maybe I'm all wrong and they are catching speeders, but it doesn't appear to have any logic to it.
That sign is more of to alert you you're coming up to the center of town. It doesn't take pictures or anything like that. It's strictly just is letting you know how fast you're going, like coming into town. Some people will be doing 50 through there.
Any other comments on that? Okay. I'm going to read the last card that I have. How do you feel about putting meetings back on the TV community channel in addition to YouTube and or just the TV community channel?
I'm in favor of all of them.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent idea.
As best transparency you can, anywhere it can be.
So everybody's in agreement on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent,
I
thank
think
you.
I didn't even know that Alton still had a community TV.
I didn't either.
I didn't either. Are there any additional questions from the audience?
Hi there. I think Mr. Sleeper touched on it earlier. My question is, as select board members, you're required to sit on other committees. Are you willing and ready to put in that extra time commitment to those committees? Because I know some of those meetings can last really long.
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
Yes, they can.
Yep.
We sit on, me and Mr. Shea sit on a couple boards currently each. We take a list of them at the beginning of the election. Once the election's done, there's a list of all the committees that we're affiliated with, part of, and then we all divvy them up from there. All the selectmen members divvy up, which boards we, go to. Mr. Mitchell remembers what that was like. It's just a list of, Jack, it's just a list of all. Yeah, and you pick which ones. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And thus far, we have a great system in place. We have a good board right now. If one of us can't make a meeting, there is a backup. Typically, the backup steps right in. It's been very, very seamless. It's been very good.
It also has the advantage of pushing you as a selectman to find out what else is going on in town. When you go to a zoning meeting, you get your eyes opened a little bit about how people feel and what's happening and what needs to be done. And if you're the Board of Selectmen representative, you actually have a vote, which helps you to perhaps influence things in the right way. But it's very valuable, no question. It's an investment in time. And you never know whether it's going to be a half-hour meeting or a 4-hour meeting, but that's the chance you take.
Roll of the dice.
Okay, do we have any additional questions from the audience?
No questions, guys? You got anything? Nothing?
If not, can I say one more thing before we?
Yeah, well, yeah, we're gonna have a
Okay.
5-minute
Oh, okay.
close.
All right.
Right. Okay. Go, oh.
Former board members, former boards, used to have the road agent give it 10 roads that they thought should be redone. The board would then go out and look at at those roads, and they would, see how many potholes. Not that they were experts, but they certainly can see a pothole. They can certainly see a broken pavement. And they decided, okay, this is what the list is going to be. This is how we're going to go down through there. Now, a lot of people said that was micromanaging. I don't feel it was. The board also went around, reviewed the transfer station, the highway garage, all the buildings in town, down at the bay and everything else. Again, do you think that you people should do that, or do you think it's micromanaging?
Yes.
You think it's
we should.
micromanaging?
No. I believe it's something that we should do. I believe it's something that we should actively, the gentleman over there spoke about the issues with the transfer station. It's something that, I go into the transfer station all the time, but I've never really paid attention to the bins. It's something that, how often did you guys used to do it when you served on the board? Was it like a yearly thing, or was it every 6 months?
No, yearly.
It was
In the
yearly?
Summertime, and there's no snow on the ground.
I believe that is, you're right.
I've been critical of you boards. I don't think everybody knows that. I don't think you do enough detail of your decisions. And I also think there's leaders, and they have goals, and then there's the followers. Are you people going to have goals next year that you want to accomplish? And what would they be? And I'd like to ask, what 3 goals would you like to in place that the board next year tackles?
The first part of that question, Lauren, is I think that maybe not so much the whole board, but I think each department should have a board member that's a liaison to the board, to that, so they can go meet with the highway department, meet with the transfer station, meet with that, and then come back to the board with an idea, instead of trying to get the whole board out, because now you have to have a meeting to take the whole board out to look at a road. So if the highway department has a selectman that's a liaison, the transfer station has a liaison, they got a liaison, you can talk to that department head, come back to the board with the department head's ideas in the boards, and the board can address the needs of that. And then the second part of your question, I think we need to at least, we need to get the budget passed. That's first and foremost, the budget needs to pass to move forward with the town. And I think a little more transparency to the people to get everything out there so they can see what's going on. And third, I think we need to take care of our employees and make sure we keep the good ones that we have.
I'm going to let everybody answer before you have your follow-up. Who would like to go next?
I like Brock's idea of selectman liaison to each department. I think that would be beneficial. I know there's a lot of difficulty in lining up the entire board on any given date to go do something, and of course as soon as you do that you have to make it a public meeting with the proper postings and all, which is not impossible, but it's one more step. I think your scheme is probably an interim step that might do 90% of what you'd like to see happen, and certainly if the liaison member sees a problem and he feels like he needs to involve the entire board with a visit, that can be proposed. And I think the board will respond favorably, but there's a limit on what you can do in terms of 24 hours in a day.
Jack?
The first things that come to mind, and you'll have to accept I'm new to this and learning the ropes as I go. One of the things that, we've seen some great IT improvements with the webpage. One thing I'd like to see for the meetings is to look and see if there's a software that we can integrate that can transcribe the meetings. It might not be 100% accurate, but one of the complaints I've gotten from people I talk to is there's no way to go and search. So if you could go and you had a transcription along with the YouTube video that you could search for a keyword or a road name or something, then you could go and find that more quickly. It allowed greater access for the community to go and review something that was talked about at a meeting without needing to pilfer through the entire meeting to find that one time it was mentioned and get there. And alongside what Brock said, I think looking at responsible budgeting and keeping budgets moving forward so that we don't lose employees, we don't lose services, we don't end up falling behind like I've seen other towns around Alton do while trying to be a good steward for the town and keep things open.
Okay, Nick?
As far as what Lauren brought up, the main things I'd like to see improved upon, I guess, would be working towards more in community involvement, because that was a real, as trivial as it sounds, the Old Home Week kind of hit the spot for me, because I really did enjoy the week long. And you're talking about micromanaging. Well, I guess it's a double-sided coin, because you look at it one way, we hire department heads and we trust the department heads to do a job. But I understand what you're saying. If they were to give us a list of roads and, Seth were to say, okay, we think these 10 roads needed to be done, or, Courtney says, okay, we need these water mains we need to do. We put our eyes on that there's nothing wrong with that. If I remember, I was at the highway like 10 years, and I remember Kenny bringing you guys through and showing you guys the shop and all the updates and stuff every year. I don't know why we ever got away from that. It's funny. I didn't really remember too much of that until you brought it up. I'd like to see that again, actually. I know that doesn't sound like much, but being able to put our eyes on every department. You take a ride through the dump on a busy day, together, 3 of you in a car, set up a meeting for it or what have you. But I think you're right. I don't think it's micromanaging. I think it's just making sure things are all aligning perfectly, I guess.
Kind of checks and balances.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, with the liaison idea, isn't that not allowing the majority of the board be involved in the decisions?
Well, no, with that being said, I think you would have to bring that, what you spoke with your department or whatever, you would bring that to the board and have that discussion with the board. So if somebody said, we're gonna do this, well, I'm just gonna use the highway department for an example. If the director comes to us and said, this is the road, this is the road, this is the road, and this is the road that we wanna do, that would be discussed with the liaison. Then the liaison would bring that to the board and say, this is the roads that the director has brought forward to us, and we would have a discussion on that and then make a decision as a group with the information. Because nothing for nothing, but I'm not a finance director, so for me to go in there and tell the finance director what to do or how to do their job doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But where I'm well versed in doing the road work and whatnot, I would pick that to be my liaison. So I have that experience to bring to the board, and then the board makes a decision. And like Mr. Shea's, by the sounds of it, is pretty well versed in finance and that stuff, and operating businesses and whatnot. But he would bring that to the table so he could maybe handle that end of things. I think it would take a little bit of figuring out, but I think once we had the right liaison for the right department, I think it would work just the way you're saying it.
You don't think 10 eyes are better than 2?
Oh, I'm not saying that at all, but like we said, now we've got to put a meeting up. Now there's this a whole process that has to go to doing that. I think 2 eyes are better than none when it comes to that, and then bringing it to the board to discuss about.
Can I have another question?
Is there anyone else that has a question before he asks another?
They're already waiting for me to go. We don't seem to be going out to bid anymore. That's the most safest system we have to make sure
we don't have a conflict of interest or hanky-panky behind the scenes. I don't remember anything going out to bid last year.
I can't remember the exact amounts, but I know we raised the threshold for the bids because we were putting these things out and we weren't getting any. It was taking forever. We'd have one bid and it would be, it'd be out there for however many days, and we wanted to allow the department heads, if it was a purchase, like something for the highway or something for the fire, to allow them to purchase it. But we haven't made any really large purchases over the last year as far as, big things that we needed. We haven't had a lot this year, but I do remember raising, I can't remember the amounts, Lauren.
30,000.
30,000 threshold. I thought it was 25. 30,000 threshold.
The other thing that we run into is, for instance, with a chip seal process on the highway for repair and upgrade, there's only one vendor in New England that does it. Although when that happens, the department head will come back to the board and request permission to waive the bid process. It's not just done under the table. And we often, if we can get bids, we want them, but there are many services that we purchase that there's only one or two suppliers, and we're kind of stuck unless we want to go in another direction altogether. But we do watch it closely and try to get as many competitive bids as we can because the tax dollars are precious.
When those do come along, do they have like a sole source justification? Like for my company, when I do purchasing, anytime I buy something over $10,000, if I have to get it through one spot for one reason or another, either it's the only vendor or it's just the best choice vendor, I can write a sole source justification to present that I would assume would present to the board. Is that how they do it, or is it just kind of
It works
They usually come and tell us that,
It's documented.
Yes.
I guess that's my concern. I don't seem to see any specs for these. It seems like a department head comes in and says, I asked for 3 vendors, but you haven't set any specs. That's my concern.
Specs as far as what, for the bids you mean?
Yeah, for these quotes.
Are you saying that you don't see an RFP go out to get your bids from?
I'm saying you don't put any specs. So one person's quote could be totally different from another person's.
That would ultimately fall on the department head to.
Well, I think the selectmen are the ones that's supposed to okay the specs, aren't they?
No, I don't. I think that's what we
No?
hire a department head for.
Okay, thank you for your opinion. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.
Anyone else like to respond to that?
Yeah, I think we depending on what you're purchasing, of course, if we buy a truck, the spec is very detailed. We rely on the department head to lay it out, and then the board reviews it. And in the case of our board, we're pretty fortunate because between builders, contractors, mechanics, and old guys, we've got some experience that we can rely on. But anything that is technical in nature, the spec is usually pretty detailed. If you see an instance where that's not the case, I know you'll speak up and I know we'll address it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have a question? Seeing none, we will go ahead and start our 5-minute close. Each of the selectmen will have 5 minutes to let you know anything that was not covered tonight, clarify their stance on something that may have been brought up tonight. And we will let's start in the middle this time with Jack.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, so just once again to say I'm Jack Sleeper, and I'm here to try to earn your vote for selectmen. I'm a lifelong resident of this town. I'm kind of quite literally a jack of all trades. I've worked everywhere from Pop's Clamshell in the Bay when I was 13 to now I manage a manufacturing department for my company. I've done a little bit of everything in between, from wrenching on boats at Gillen Marine for over a decade to washing dishes at Sandy or at Victoria Pier before she was at the pier. I really just believe in this community and I want to participate in it. I want to try to provide a new voice for everyone as a conduit to the people to bring to the board to keep the town where the townspeople want and help to steer it into the future and try to share the times when I, in my own education and experience, see something that, yeah, we really should push for this now, or I don't really think we need to spend on that now, and put that out more broadly to the community, so that when the warrant article comes up, they know what they're voting on. You know, I'm new to this, which means I'm gonna put my energy into researching things, because I never wanna be wrong. So I'm gonna not say something if I don't know, and I'm gonna go find the answer, and that's how I wanna conduct myself. So I appreciate you all taking your time to be here tonight and get to know me, hear some of the things I think and what I have to say, and thank you.
Okay, Brock.
I just wanna take a minute and just say thanks for everybody coming out, because to be honest, the 3 years I sat on the board, we never had a turnout anywhere near like this for selectmen meeting, let alone candidates night. So that it was good to see people come. I would appreciate your vote. I will continue to work for the town. The way I look at it is I am running to work for the town as a whole, not for this group over here and this group over here. And you'll see, I have differences of opinions with a lot of people, but I stick to my guns when I do make a decision, and I will. I definitely won't turn my tables. I'll stick, like I said, I'll stick to what I believe in. And if we make a decision and the townspeople come, we work for you folks. If you come to us after we've made, and we're going to make a decision, and you come to us and say, well, we as the town don't like that decision, well, that's something that we have to listen to, whether it's good for this selection or that. What's good for the janitor is good for the CEO as far as I'm concerned. And on the second part of my thing is I'd like to thank these guys right here, because if you don't sit in these seats, you have no idea what it's like. Mr. Carr's been here. We've had there's a couple other people that have been selectmen here. It's different sitting up here, and you've got to have some thick skin, because we're gonna go home, and within an hour the internet will be blowing up. So to these guys, I appreciate you guys coming up here and putting your necks out to sit up here and take it. And whoever wins this race, I believe the town's gonna get a good bang for their buck from whoever ends up winning.
Mr. Shea.
I have really enjoyed being a selectman, and mostly it's because we have a good team. The current Board of Selectmen works well together. We don't agree on everything, which is probably the way it should be, but we listen respectively. We seek information from townspeople and respond when the concerns are expressed. And that just kind of makes it can be difficult, it can be aggravating, but it also can be fun. And when you see something come together and it turns out well and it works and people are happy with it, it gives you a real feeling of accomplishment, and there's nothing quite like that. 3 of the 4 gentlemen that are up here I have worked with, and it's been a great experience. I don't really know Mr. Sleeper, but if he's in manufacturing, he's got to be an okay guy. I don't think you can go wrong voting for any of us, and I'm sure any one of us will do the best we can to deliver. We need your help, however, to stay involved, to give us input and feedback, to help us get our budget passed so we don't spiral further down this default budget hole. And also, I am looking forward to, I think we've got some great leadership. We've got a new fire chief that's getting things organized in a manner that provides us with better coverage. Our highway department is in good hands, and our highway manager now, our department works director, is just bubbling over with ideas to improve things and to save money. We've got some difficult changes that are in process in 2 of our departments, and we need to make sure that going forward, those positions are filled properly with qualified people, and those departments get the support they need to be able to continue to provide services that people expect. I think we need to do more with our website and with communications. And we have the tools available to us to do that. We need to put more effort into it. And some of the suggestions I've heard here tonight are great ideas that I'm sure the board will pursue with the assistance of our IT representative, who is a first-class guy and works all day and half the night. As we get into spring, we also are looking at getting our swap shop reopened. And that, I had a lot of fun with that, and people seem to enjoy it, and I hope people continue to support it. We also are looking at a revaluation this year, and while the board has limited input to that, it's certainly going to create some degree of difficulty. Some people are going to see their property taxes go up, others are going to see them go down. We have to make sure that the appeal process is in place and it's handled properly, and everything is communicated on an above-board manner so that you understand where the number came from and what you can do about it if you're not happy with it. Beyond that, I've just had a real good time, and I'd like to continue to have a good time for the next 3 years, and I hope that I can count on your vote. But if you vote for any of the guys to my right, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thank you.
All right.
Nick?
Thank you again, like a broken record. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Without you guys, you know, gentlemen and ladies, we wouldn't know where to go. We wouldn't know what decisions to make. We're just left with what's in front of us. We need, you know, opinions from townspeople. Over the last 3 years, it's been great. You know, I had a long stint at the highway. It was 10 years at the highway and 8 or 7 at the fire department. I really enjoy this community. I love the way that it is. You know, you try to hold it as long as you can the way it is. I want my kids to grow up here and love it just as much as I do. You know, I'm sitting up here and I'm wondering, you know, like what has been the best time I've had being a selectman so far. And I'll tell you, we had a parade, I believe it was July 4th, and I remember coming around Busy Corner, and I remember looking down, you could see the American flag, and there were people everywhere. That's what it should be about. We should be about the community. It should be about the people. You know, I'm up here, we're all up here, you know, asking for your vote, but at the end of the day, I don't care who you vote for, as long as you vote. You just get out there and vote, whichever way you see fit. I really enjoyed my run, and I hope to continue it for another 3. I've had a blast as the chair. You know, a lot of trials and tribulations along the way. Am I perfect? No. Are the decisions that we all make? No. But again, I appreciate everybody coming out, and this is what it's all about. Let's do this again.
Just to retouch on information for the community, does anyone have the figure of what the actual different tax impact difference is if the budget passes? Is it 90 cents? Is that accurate? Just to try to spread it to the community as much as we can.
$1 million. What's that? Let me look.
Because I feel like the community knowing that makes a huge impact, because if they think it's going to cost them $6 grand, they're going to vote no.
Loring, you just said $1 million, right? That's what you just said.
There is a write-up. They've got done. I just got back from vacation this morning.
Yep.
Jen had put out and requested it based on feedback.
Okay.
It was a write-up. It's going to hit social media and the website tomorrow morning.
Okay, cool.
It will clarify the impact and the fact that we're starting at 0 and it's not above and beyond the current tax rate.
What's the spread, Andrea?
So my math, which is pretty good despite being an English teacher, is that so it takes 3.3 cents per thousand to generate $100,000 worth of revenue. So my math is about 90 cents, but they're going to give you the exact number. But I'm pretty
So
darn
for the
close.
utmost clarity, just for everybody listening, 90 cents for the overall operating budget to pass.
So
90 cents per thousand.
Yes.
That
So-
is detrimental to the success of the town. We would really like to see that.
Yes, we need to make that happen for the well-being of now and the well-being of our future. We can't be myopic in this.
Thank you.
Could I ask everyone to just give Kelly, who really went to great lengths to put this together. And she just has a few words
Nice
that
job,
she'd
Cal.
like to say.
First,
Thanks
I want
to
to
Cydney,
thank
too. Sorry.
thank you guys for coming out and putting yourselves out there. I would like to thank Cydney Shapleigh for moderating. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to Tech Crew Production LLC, the guys that are doing the audio and video today. They did this voluntarily. It took them over an hour and a half to set up. I was really worried at 20 minutes of 6 when there were not a lot of people here. Oh my gosh, is this all for naught? Which brings me to the point of why we had tonight. Again, my name is Kelly Sullivan. I do a lot in the community. I did not like some things that I saw going on in the town a few years ago, so I started going to meetings at the town hall. I know all of the men up at the table except for Mr. Sleeper because I attend meetings. I know earlier in the evening we asked about communication with the board. I would also like to state that the more you call or email the board personally, that's less done in public and that's less transparency. So if you really want to enact change in your community, you must come out to the meetings. Talk to a friend, talk to a neighbor. One of you go. You can also watch them online. But really, another reason why we're having tonight is because there are an awful lot of keyboard warriors in the world. That was also touched on. Nothing gets done on social media. You have to come to a meeting. Even if you have a legitimate gripe, if you just complain all the time on social media, eventually people will tune you out. I also do a lot of volunteering in the community. So Old Home Week kind of went away because there were no volunteers. When I go to my meetings and my committee meetings, I see the same people there. So in order to breed community, you can't just look to your town hall, your select board, or your other offices to enact that. Community is all of us, and the only way to bring us all together is to come out and enjoy, and not wait for somebody else to always do it. You don't always have to give a whole day or a lot of time. A lot of times an hour here or there will do the trick. It's really just about being active with everybody. So again, thank you all for coming out. It's greatly appreciated, and thank you to everybody here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, production team.
Thanks, guys.
How many slots are open on the select board?
2.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, guys. Everything was cordial. Yeah. I didn't think it was going to be anything but.